Sorry.
Hello, everyone. We got a little bit engrossed. We haven't spoken to each other for days because we've been hidden away in our office, beavering away. And then we had some stuff to talk about and we got carried away. And yes, that's why we're 15 minutes late.
I'm so sorry. And I'm sat not in my office. I'm in my front room because I'm cold and I got my fire on and my office was chilly. So I'm not sitting in there because I've been sitting on my sofa. So here we are. How are you all? How are you all? We were just going through some x-rays. We've got quite a few very poorly feet on our books at the moment, and quite a few actually. And we were just buzzing through a few x-rays. So it's always exciting, but full of trepidation when we get our new x-rays, isn't it? Because we hope we're going to see something, you know, we hope we've got internal anatomy okay lined up, but what we're really looking for is to see if we've had any more damage to P3, and so we've just been looking at that. So just got a bit obsessed. Sorry, obsessed. Not that we're nerds. Pierce here. I will come back when we actually start. Just want to share that Red can't walk. She runs all the time because
The first bit, I thought,
what? What are you saying?
Trying to give me a heart attack, Pia.
Don't say that publicly. I could watch her go for hours. I swear she's smiling too. She is. Talk to the Hoof. I've got, do you know something? Years ago in the Barefoot Horse magazine, we had a little dabble at doing some merch, but we never really went to town on it properly. But I was looking the other day at one of our graphics that I had made for us, and it was the Talk to the Hoof one. And I think for 15K, we should do a very select just few jumpers, and I think we should do the Talk to the Hoof the Phoenix way, and I think we should put that out for 15K. I was looking at it thinking, yeah, people would like that over your sweatshirts and Talk to the Hoof, and it's got its
and
I think we just to the rest of the world, Talk to the Hoof, because it means so many different things, doesn't it? It means, and it also means, look at my hoof.
Yeah, that's good.
So we'll do that. We'll have Talk to the Hoof.
Resurrect it.
And resurrect that. Yeah. Jeanette's here. That's wonderful news, Pia. It really is. Good to hear this, Pia. Go, Red, go. Oh, my God. Thank God. A year ago. Well, under a year ago. That it wasn't. It was struggling time, wasn't it?
It was.
Suzanne's here. Pink Marigold Hand.
Hi, Suzanne.
Great news, Pia. Good evening, everyone, says Camilla. Wonderful news, Pia. I just love this community. It's so great, isn't it? We're all so supportive. It's so great. All those desperate crying moments, I remember them well. I have been sharing with you guys. I won't forget, but now I see the meaning of those moments. Together we can do this. Come on. Kay's here with her hearts.
Okay.
Pierce says, if we have time to watch the video, Red going, I don't mind. It's in the group page. We'll go find it. Definitely. We'll go find it in a minute. Hi, everyone. This is Sandra from Czech. Hello, darling. Becky Brack. Sorry, I feel like I'm on a boat. Don't you feel like you're on a boat? Sorry about this. It's because
it's all right. I'm not looking at you.
Because it's on a cushion.
Not until you talk to me. I'm looking at the comments as you're going through.
Good evening, says Becky Bragg. Good evening. Jacqueline Douglas says, hi, everyone. Mandy's here. Keith Copen, hello. Do we know you, Mandy?
Welcome. Hello, Mandy.
Dawn says, it's so lovely to see you all lovely people here again. It really is. Ulrika's here. Hello, everyone. Don't you say her name, just because you might. I don't even know if I'm getting it right. Came home just in time. Misha Stitch, hello, all from Germany. Hello, Misha. Nice to meet you.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Kirk is here from New Zealand. Hello, my darling. Doing an amazing job. Everybody follow Joe Kirk at Royals Rehab. Absolutely fantastic job she's doing down there in South Island in New Zealand. Dawn says, Sarah, your trimming reel was fantastic. What a wonderful trimmer and teacher. Did you see that?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
You should go and have a look at the post Sarah put up in the Phoenix group. And there's this lovely bit where she's talking to the owner, and the owner's going, oh, right. Oh, and she's explaining everything and how she's taking, and while she's working and taking off the material with a beautifully sharp knife, I have to say. And the owner's going, oh, but it's just so lovely, because here we have this person who, God, will it be nearly 2 years? Is it nearly 2 years?
It's got to be coming up to that. It's probably 2 years since we met.
Squire,
it's got to be close.
right.
Yes, yeah, we met Squire
Right
2 years ago.
Beginning of 2024.
Yes.
And Sarah's gone from a desperate owner, horrified, about to lose her pony, so scared, to this person who is now going out and seeing other people who have been in her position, and she's teaching them. She's teaching them.
It's all down to the teachers, Linz. We can take all the credit. We can take all the credit. It's all down to our excellent teaching. And I have to say, even though I haven't seen it yet, I'm sure it just mirrored my A Day in the Life of. I'm sure it just mirrored that.
We ought to do that now. We ought to go and we should do that. Get our pros to go out and students and film that and put this up in A Day in the Life. I think that would be flipping great.
That would be a great idea.
Isn't that a good idea? Right.
That's a great idea.
We're going to do that then. Sarah Lou is incredible. Yes, she is. Nora B, Rocket City Mom. Good day all from Huntsville, Alabama. Good day.
Hiya.
Nice to meet you. It's great to have you. Good new names are coming up. Malin's here. Hello, Tyler.
Hello, Malin.
Tammy Keller's here. Hi, everyone. Hi, Tammy. Dawn says, hello, you two. It's great to have you back. Yes, it is.
Good to be back.
We're good, but you're both squished in the middle of the screen.
That's
the.
I'll go and have a look on YouTube, because I think it's because you can have a vertical view now and a landscape view.
It's a new thing they're calling Mars. And
it is.
I think you can turn it off. I don't know how to turn it off though, because they've only just thrown that settings. Camera display, la. No.
Oh no, on my YouTube it's normal. It might be because you're on a phone.
Yeah. Dawn says she loves that. Why are you both so small and why are comments disappearing? StreamYard have done something very clever. They've done something called Mars. I don't know what it stands for, but it's about automatic orientation of the screen so that people can have it that way or that way. I don't know whether you need to turn it that way or not. Try it out. I don't know how to do. It came up. Oh, look, see here. Look, it came up earlier. You see it there? Look, Gary. Can you see us on the left?
Yes, I just switched it back on.
So that. Oh, I don't know. God, sorry.
But when I looked on YouTube, it's playing fine. It's playing fine side by side. So I think it's to do with the settings on the device that you're watching.
Maybe turn it sideways and then it might.
Yes.
I've no idea. No idea. Don't ask me technical things.
It's a new setting, so you're going to have to technically get around it.
My view was like that, but just sorted itself. Martina, hi Marianne.
Hi Marianne.
Martina's here. Hello, hi all. It's not due to being on the phone. I'm tuning in from my laptop, and it's portrait mode.
Oh, it's not on portrait mode for me.
What is it doing? StreamYard's pack it in.
Well, do you know what? When we go live on Thursday,
it's a matter of opinion.
You say the nicest things, Pia.
Not
I'm
many
not sure
people
anybody
say
else
I
would
can't
agree.
I don't normal doing this game, am I? I'm on iPad and it's squished too. Oh God. You are squished on the big screen as well. Oh. What have you done?
Well,
Silly
next time when I
game.
do it, it says, go to this news Mars session. This is what we highly recommend. Well, next
That's it.
time
Back to
I shall
normal.
not. I shall go landscape and that's it.
You are live on YouTube twice. Oh. Oh.
Oh,
Is it
so
just
you
like
can watch
this?
it on
Sounds like
either.
this?
Oh, I didn't see that option.
No idea. Don't ask me. You'll have to work it out yourselves. My
Yes,
tablet's
sorry.
rerouted itself.
Oh, now I can see it's on YouTube. Yes, we are live twice.
It's fine. You guys carry on.
Um,
We'll carry on. We'll
Linz,
carry on. And you just see my face like this and Gary's face like this. Okay, right. What are we going to talk about tonight? What would you like us to talk about tonight? What was I going to talk about tonight? I had something.
There you go, Linz.
Oh my God, look at that. It's weird.
So yeah, we come up twice.
What have you done?
We come up twice.
So are there two different links?
It looks like it.
Right. So you need to get to the one that shows us this way.
Yes. So you got a choice.
Looks
like
I mean,
there's
brilliant
two.
idea, but freaked everybody out. I put up a link today on the public page, and I put it up in the Phoenix group. It's BBC Sounds. It's a podcast by Helen Lewis, who is interviewing. It's called The Spark, and she interviews various people, and she's interviewing this chap called Stuart Ritchie. And Stuart Ritchie is now a science journalist. I might just contact him. He's a science journalist, and he was in academia, and he has published in psychology, and he he's not very old, really. He's quite young in the great scheme of things, but he's published quite a few papers, and he's got his own age score. And he's written a book about science called Science Fictions, and it's all about how the world has relied so heavily when people talk about peer-reviewed science and it's in a journal and therefore it must be solid, it must be good. And he said it just is not the case. It just is not the case. There's rubbish science out there. There's fraudulent science out there that also get published in peer review. They don't critically review the actual process. All they review are their findings, and so they don't know whether they've got a rigorous process. He said, and oftentimes when they're peer reviewed by their peers, and they don't want to upset anybody, and they want to get it published. And basically what he's saying is it's a bit of a dirty world out there, really, in the science world. There are obviously some people who do some really good bona fide science, but there's an awful lot of science that is done which is not rigorously tested by anybody. He said there are lots, hundreds upon thousands of papers where you have a situation where nobody basically tests it. Nobody goes out and tests it. They go and test another part of something else or another part of what they're talking about. And we have, and I have a science background. Obviously, I did science at university. And one of the things you're taught to do is learn how to write science papers in the hope that maybe one of us might ever do that. But one of the things, Science 101, is obviously observation is key. But then above that, you've got to really look at all the variables. And we say this all the time. And I have said this, God knows how many times, that and this really interests me, why the equine world. And I've been writing a piece because I'm going to put this in my book, and I will put a bit of it up on Facebook, because I've been writing this bit about why did we go from talking about the Hoof capsule? In 2000, Chris Pollitt published a piece of a research paper where he spoke about hoof capsules causing laminized stress. The trim, what you're doing to the hoof capsule causes stress, right? In 2000. He also was talking about, at that time, his golden child of the SADP theory, the suspensory apparatus of the distal phalanx, but which we now know we've proved time and time again with the research that we've done, and that proved that to be not it's just like Stuart Ritchie said, people take a science paper and they try and replicate it, and if you can't replicate it, something's wrong with the science, and we can't replicate it. In other words, he's saying that it's suspended, and under dietary distress, P3 does like, we can't replicate that, because what we're finding is that's not the case at all, because these are not good capsules. What we're finding is this is down to divergence and capsule stress. So we have proposed, by everything that we're putting out openly, open science, and this is what he's really into, is open science, creating science that people can really see in real time, not hidden behind closed doors, that people can see in real time. And that's what we're doing, open science. So we are showing you our findings as we move along. It's not because we're nutters or we're mad. This is true stuff we're finding out here. And we are showing you this stuff. But the equine science world is looking away. Why? Why are they looking away? And in 2000, when Pollitt put that paper out, everybody, what did that paper do? He said that one of the reasons that laminae were tearing was because of the stress on the toe. Now, he didn't have that he hadn't quite worked that out right properly, but they'd been looking at capsules and they'd worked out that. So what did that spawn? 2.5 decades of people going mental, chopping off toes. 2.5 decades of people chopping off toes and getting nowhere. Chopping off toes, and laminitis is still horrendous. And then in 2005, he pivoted. He started publishing papers that had nothing to do with the capsule, that had only anything to do with the chemistry, looking at insulin, looking at the effect of that on tissues, chasing the MMPs, looking at the histology. And so I wanted to know why, because from that moment on, equine science research into hooves stopped dead. It then went into metabolism. For 20 years, we have been taken down a road where we have just looked inside the horse and claimed a disease called laminitis. And we've been telling the world that these papers have shown us that if you give a horse an overdose of oligofructose, it causes problems in the laminae, even though they couldn't recreate rotation. Although we're still told, the Chinese whispers that go around tell us that, in fact, rotation happens overnight. It's impossible, and science papers have never proved it significantly at all. So when he pivoted in 2005, he knew at that time that the hoof capsule was playing a very significant part in laminae destruction. In fact, such a big part that it's literally tearing it. He wasn't quite clear on how, and he definitely thought P3 was suspended, and he definitely thought P3 rotated. So all of those things he was incorrect with. But he knew the capsule was a problem. Trimming was a problem. And yet in 2005, do you know what he did, Gary?
Go on.
He didn't include that variable into
the hoof capsule, or anything to do with the hoof. No,
ever again. ever again for 20 years. But he knew. He was a scientist. He'd found that out, and he completely left it out of his research. They didn't do any sequential photographs. They stopped looking at the hoof capsule itself. They didn't look at x-rays critically. They didn't analyze or assess or measure. What they did was they just put a glib line in some of these studies saying, oh, the feet were healthy. I beg your pardon. What, just like everybody else on the whole of the internet comes and tells us that their horse's feet are balanced and it rotated overnight? I think not. So why did he do that? Why did he begin? And everybody was looking to him because by then he was getting a lot of funding coming in. The funding was piling in to create the University of Queensland Laminitis Research Unit, the biggest and best laminitis research unit in the world. And they stopped looking at the hoof for 20 years. And so now, because most people who have been in hoof care haven't been in it for 20 years, it is when he did that pivot in 2005. I'd already started my hoof care journey in 2001, 1/2. And he, although obviously I was looking at hooves before then, but we started our journey then with Sunny. Oh, look. I've got a thingy on my screen. So most people that are in hoof care today, bar some of the old crones, have only really been into hoof care in the last 10 years, I'd say. 10, 15 years, maybe 2010 onwards, right? And a lot, and that, you know, and then a lot less than that. So they've grown up. Doesn't matter how old they are, but they've grown up. Their barefoot learning has grown up in the era of looking at the blood, chemicals, drugs, things that are quantifiable, things that are measurable, things that you can get technology to assess in a lab. Not looking at the thing that is really difficult to quantify, really difficult to standardize, which is the hoof capsule. So now this big row that we have all over the internet when people are going, you've got to look at the peer-reviewed research, because they don't know anything else, because they're not going back far enough. They don't go back far enough to when Pollitt actually went, oh no, actually I think the hoof capsule is causing this. Oh God, yeah. But that wasn't going to get any funding, was it? Now the cynic in me would say,
that's exactly what I was going to say.
Right, you're not going to build a laminitis unit, are you?
When you say that the hoof capsule's been manipulated.
When you're saying that it's human beings, the one thing that everybody absolutely hates and detests and moves away from, unless they're on the internet, is because all those horrible things people said about me or Bethan, they'd never say that to my face. They just wouldn't. And so what it's spawned is an era of people obsessing about the diet. Now that works. It works. It doesn't work, but it works for churning the wheels of Laminitis Incorporated, which is all the hang-on products, all the supplements, all the hay testing, all the blood testing, all the drugs, all of that hangs on the back of those studies which are not rigorous enough and where they completely ignored something they knew was a significant factor. So when you look and you start delving into these pieces of research, they never looked at the hind feet. They only ever looked at front feet. Now, again, we know front feet and sometimes only one front foot. Now, that's not rigorous research. A horse has got 4 feet. You cannot just take one and say, That is happening to all the other three, all four, because they knew. They absolutely, I think they knew. Maybe they were just, I don't know. I wouldn't it be nice to think they didn't know, they were just being a little bit thick? But I think they knew that if you go and study the hind feet, you are going to get a different result to studying the front feet. That if you fill that horse up with oligofructose and you go and have a look at the hind feet, you're not going to get the same results. Now, that would have completely drowned the metabolic model, that theory, because immediately people would have started going, well, you got to look at the hind feet, pal, because the hind feet, you know, if it's a blood problem and it's in the blood, metabolism and blood and dysfunction isn't choosy. It's chemically based, it's chemical based, right? It's not choosy. It's going to affect all feet equally. And then when you come out and say stuff like that, you get people who have no clue about hoof balance at all. And that includes people that includes vets, I'm sorry to say, and many hoof care professionals. They will come out and they will say, oh yeah, that's because it's heavier on the front feet, or 101 different excuses. And you're like, no, the front feet were always worse. It's because they're the ones messed around with all the time. Yes, you get hind feet that go out of whack, but if you did the ratios, you'd find it was heavily weighted to the front feet. And then if you did split the front feet up, you'd find it was heavily weighted, just like it is for the whole of the human race. The number of right-handed trimmers to the number of left-handed trimmers, you will find that you almost always get it when you're looking at it across the board. You get more right-handed, right fore problems than you do left fore. Everything is pointing to the hoof capsule. Like, for God's sake, stop it, world. You have been taken down a story that you have been manipulated. The testing was not rigorous. He ignored the hoof capsule, deliberately so. And now going forward, not only did he spawn a whole nation, and I mean, he probably didn't realize that this would happen, but this is what happened. He spawned an era of people chopping off toes, causing hoof growth imbalances, going off balance, making the actual problem worse. So laminitis didn't get better, it got worse. And now they're looking inside the body and they're looking for drugs, etc. And they're trying to shove all these drugs down these horses' throats. And still, there's a massive failure rate. And horses are dying like you wouldn't believe. And they're dropping like flies, suffering unbelievably. It's not getting better. And they're using more and more drugs. And they've done 20 years of research into this. And it's not got any better. And it will never get any better until they go back to doing what? Looking at the
hoof capsule.
Bloody hoof capsule, right? You can't have research into hooves when you don't look at the hoof capsule itself. And Stuart Ritchie, if anybody gets the opportunity to go and listen to that podcast, it's really good. And he's got a book out, and I'm going to get the book and listen to it. It was Adele, one of our pros, that passed that on to me today. She said, "You'll listen to this, Lindsay. You'll like it. It will appeal to you." I remember reading a paper in the late 2010s, and it was by one of Pollitt's PhD students, and they used probes, and they were trying to test for monoclonal antibodies. They were trying to find something so that they could use monoclonal antibodies, etc. And they got the results were so variable that they ended up blending them between feet. That's called manipulating data. That is called manipulating data. And you'd have thought, wouldn't you? Because that was a one piece of research that was mooted by or touted out by one of our detractors. And if you go in and you look at that research, it's not rigorous. It's not very well done. The data has been manipulated, and there are so many flaws and errors in it, because they said that they felt after they blended the data that they could see some tiny movement of P3, and that movement can easily be created on X-rays, on movement, the error in the human on how they take the X-rays. Now, they didn't say that, obviously. This research, because it's got the name science on it, because it's got the name research on it, because it's got a professor's name on it, and lots of other professors too, immediately the world, who aren't sciencey people, the majority of people who are horse owners, lots of them are, but most aren't, they aren't going to go and read a paper full of numbers and statistics and results and graphs and look at it and go, well, do you think that was rigorous research? They're not going to know. So if we are out in the world and we are proposing that theory, we are testing that theory now. It's easy to test. It's easy to test. I am going to test the theory of the suspensory apparatus of the distal phalanx. How am I going to test that, Lindsay? Right. What you're going to do is you're going to take a rotated P3, and with clear, destroyed, torn laminae. Horse, terrible pain. Pollitt said it rotates. Right, because it's lost its attachment. And in fact, not only is it rotate, it's going to dive, it's going to sink. So how do we test to see if that theory is correct? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take a horse. We're not going to change the diet or the management and in one trim, we are going to see if we can take P3 from being like that to like that. Put in P3 back into its natural position, not rotated. Step one, that's what you do. So we did that. That's step one. Step two, you have to then keep that P3 in that same position, not by a locking compression plate, not by screwing anything into the pedal bone, which is the latest studies they've been trying to do, for goodness sake. No, you keep it there by good balance trimming. And you watch what the hoof capsule does, and you watch what the horse does. Now, if the SADP theory stood up and was true, and P3 is suspended by the laminae, then it should make no difference at all if you lower the palmar angle of P3, because it's suspended by the laminae. It will continue to be pulled by the DDFT away from the laminae because it has no integrity or support there anymore. And it will go through the bottom of the hoof capsule. But it doesn't. It doesn't. So his theory was wrong. And we are testing this over and over and over today. And only today, Gary, and I've just shown you the message. A lovely vet in New Hampshire in the United States of America, who came to our Florida workshop because she's trying to fix a paint horse who has been diagnosed with laminitis, been chronic for a long time, with horribly distorted diverged hoof capsules. And following our rebalancing of the hoof capsule in the method that we used to do it, she did that on her own and rebalanced this horse's hooves. And even though this horse has already got quite a bit of osteonecrosis, because unfortunately she'd been kept like that for so long, because they believed it was a diet problem and they were trying to fix it with drugs and box rest, etc. So she turned up, she did this. I mean, when did we come back from Florida? Only a couple of weeks ago.
2 or 3 weeks ago, yeah.
And today she got another equine vet out to x-ray so that he could be there with her, 2 vets. And he x-rayed it and he had to concede P3 was not rotated anymore. He had to concede, and she is absolutely buzzing. And now we've repaired the balance and we've got P3 back to its balanced position. That damaged laminae is not, everything's not going to go whoop, The hoof wall's not going to go and just sink and come back to a perfect position. It ain't going to do that. And some of the people who are our detractors, they look at those rebalanced x-rays and they go, oh no, but you've still got separation.
Yes.
Of course you have, because it's torn. It can't just suddenly go and just fix back up again. It has to grow out. And then, of course, that's step 3 of the study. Once you've put P3 back into the right position and you've kept it there, that means the SADP theory is flawed. And fourth, can the laminae repair, and can the hoof capsule grow back into a normal hoof capsule? The answer to that is yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. So you can. So that whole part of that was flawed. And step 4, if you leave the distorted, displaced hoof wall on the ground, you don't chop it off, because we need to test lever forces now, because that's been put out into the world. Oh, we need to test lever forces. What should you do? Well, you leave the hoof wall on the ground with the lamella wedge intact, and you allow that hoof wall to grow out. You keep the foot balanced and you watch that horse. Does it trip? No. Does it have tendon issues? No. Are they pulling their feet apart? No. So does the lever force theory exist? No. So we're not mad idiots. We're not a cult. We are people who are going, I want to test I want to test your science. I want to test what you said in 2000 that P3 is suspended by the distal phalanx is suspended by the laminae. And were you originally right, Chris Pollitt? Did the hoof capsule cause stress and strain to the laminae? Yes, it did. But was it the toe? No, it wasn't. So it was something else, and we've worked out what that is. And we can stop it.
Went down the wrong hole.
He very much did. And why did he go down the wrong hole? Because in 2005, Gary, there was a diabetes gold rush. In 2005, if you go back and look at the history books, diabetes and insulin, the history books, you go back and you look at medical research, you go in humans, by then the diabetes, insulin, glucose gold rush was in full swing, because the world was obsessed with diabetes, with people being overweight, with people having problems. Not necessarily type 1 diabetes, that was always known, but type 2 diabetes. The one where we know that basically human EMS coupled with true diabetes, or diabetes causing problems with the pancreas and insulin. So, and why did they do that? Because technology had got really good by then. Technology was getting better. Technology could take people back into the lab, and it could take people measuring, quantifying, looking at blood. And it was fantastic, because you could take a blood sample, you could stick it into your technology, and you could see what was happening with it. And instantly everybody said, we're overfeeding these horses. And then everything boomed from that. Now, it was obvious we were, because horses were fat and overweight. But then the confusion began, and everybody forgot to look at the hoof capsule. They all, as Pollitt pivoted, the equine world pivoted. And Laminitis proper was born, and it has had a stranglehold on the equine world ever since.
It grew legs. Did it?
It grew
legs and kept running, and it brought loads of passengers alongside it.
And killed loads of horses.
And let's face it, it's so bloody confusing. Everything that's associated with the words laminitis, no one can class laminitis as a diagnosis.
It's a symptom.
there is no such thing as a diagnosis of laminitis.
No,
Let's
and
get
if you want to
specific
call it
now.
laminitis, why don't you call it tendinitis then? Because for every foot that's rotated, not only will you see torn, horrible laminae, or the beginnings of, or horrible torn laminae, you will also see an extensor tendon that is being damaged. Not just that, you will also see a coronary band, a coronary cushion that is being damaged.
Yeah.
We went down that model because on an x-ray years and years and years ago, they saw that. And that was P3, and they saw it rotated from the hoof capsule, and they knew that there was laminae between the two, and they only focused on that. Now, had Pollitt stuck to his guns and dug deep, we wouldn't be in the hellhole we are right now,
No.
20 years later, 25
And wouldn't
years.
it be interesting as well? It's interesting, isn't it, that you ended up having what they did is they saw this and they concentrated on this bit. Yeah?
Yep.
Well, what about if they'd have concentrated on this bit? The other half of the foot.
The other
We
side.
would not be in this shit show and millions of horses losing their life to this because of this. It's that simple.
Even if, can you see me all right? Because I don't know whether I don't know whether
Yeah, you keep freezing just on occasion, but it's mainly good.
Even if, and this is a big if, even if diet caused pain in the tissue of the laminae, and there is absolutely no conclusive evidence to say that at all, because nobody can assess their horse's hoof capsules properly, and also people are confusing sick horses with horses that are lame because they look straight to the feet when the horse is sick, nobody has ever been, because we haven't got probes. That we have got probes, but that technology has only come in the last 7 or 8 years or so properly. But those probes can't be used on horses that move for obvious reasons, because the probes, when they stick them in the horse's foot, they can't move around, right? So there is actually no evidence that that is associated, that diet is causing that problem. There is no evidence, no concrete evidence to show that. But even if there was, and there isn't, but even if there was, and it caused a horse to be footy, that wouldn't kill the horse. People would get it off the grass and it would stop being footy and everybody'd be happy again. But that's not what happens, is it? Nope. Because horses are being put to sleep for rotation, separation, penetration, osteonecrosis, and then they think it's foundering or sinking, which it isn't doing. All of those things are hoof capsule issues, distortions, that have divergence that have caused all of those issues. Now, even if you think we are mad, round the bend, round the twist, science doesn't stop. People don't just go, oh, the great gods of Laminitis got it right. He didn't, because all you have to do is test it. It's just so simple to test, and we tested it. It's not true. If lever forces existed, not only would those horses with those displaced toes, and not long toes, vertically often they're definitely not long enough, the displaced toes, they should be in agony, tearing their laminae, and it should never repair. It repairs, and they get better, and they're more comfortable. And when you deal with horses that have had their entire toes removed, completely chopped off, where people will just pick up a foot, like the image that's on Bethan's page, the one that we shared, the little video I did for her. And you see that lamellar wedge. People literally just used to chop that off. I still do. Just chop it off because of this fear that was of God that was put into them 25 years ago that was causing tearing of the laminae. So when they do that, they destabilize that hoof capsule. Because when the hard toe is on the ground, it keeps everything in place. It keeps the lamellar wedge itself and that hard wall, keeps the sole area encapsulated. Whether there's lamellar wedge there or not, it keeps it encapsulated. Because if you've ever seen, and I have, and I witnessed it very, very recently again, where the whole of the toe region has been removed and it is not, the whole of the toe region has been removed and it is not running straight, even though you've got P3 back to where it needs to be. When you look underneath, even when you've got perfectly good thick sole, because there is no integrity around the front of that sole, it bounces. Imagine how painful that would be for that horse standing on that. It moves. It moves because, one, you haven't got this integrity here, and two, you've not got this integrity here. And that's awful, and that causes pain. And apart from all of the things that we've now proved that dumps it on the toe, it causes more osteonecrosis, you know, the barefoot movement itself, chopping toes off, dumping horses on soles, causing horrible hellhole. It's just been a hellhole. It's been 25 plus years of a complete hellhole for domestic horses. And even if you thought we were around the bend, wouldn't you just go, I'm going to try that and just see it for yourself? It's so easy. It's so flawed, that theory, and it's so easy to prove wrong that we've got owners in their backyards doing this all over the world, haven't we, Gary?
We have.
Themselves.
And going back to what you were saying, that when you got these science papers that were written many, many years ago, and how it's not really the average horse owner that's going to go out and look at those science papers. But I've spoken to equine professionals that are telling me exactly what everybody else says. And when I talk about Professor Pollitt, and that's where that information came from, and we talk about that, these people that I'm talking to, some of them don't even know who he is.
That's right. Not even.
And then I'm thinking to myself, hold on a minute, we're saying that owners aren't going to have a go and look at these science papers that have been written and critically assess. I'm sorry, but our equine professionals aren't even doing that either.
No.
Did you see? It's that
nobody has gone through
inquiring mind, yes,
and rigorously looked at them. None, no, and you don't even have to rigorously look at them.
No, you don't. You just
have to see
scratch the surface.
What were their methods? What variables did they account for? When are they going to listen? I tell you, we'll just keep going. We'll just keep.
I think for the naysayers, they may think that this is a bit of a witch hunt. That's not what we're here for.
Oh, they think we're doing a witch hunt. Oh,
yeah,
right,
this is not a witch hunt. For those people that may think that way, this is not a witch hunt. No. This is just putting a touch of reality on the situation so we can help horses and their owners. That's it. That is the underlying. The science was flawed. So just because it says so in a textbook, and just because it says so in some shitty drawing that's incorrect, please don't think that it's just correct, because it's not.
Stuart Ritchie also talks about that. He says rubbish science papers, or incomplete science, or science that has not been rigorously peer reviewed, gets itself into textbooks, gets itself into curriculums, gets itself embedded.
And that's exactly what's happened in the equine world. Exactly that, particularly with regards to I've coined a phrase. I'm still working on my little presentation. It's called the Laminitis confusion zone. I've called it the Laminitis confusion zone. And there is no need for that confusion. Let's get proper diagnosis now, shall we?
But you know what, Gary? It works in the favor, and this sounds,
Oh, it does.
I hear myself saying it, and it sounds so conspiratorial. It works in the favor of Laminitis Inc. It makes money.
Does.
If we turned around today and went, look, all everybody has to do, all the hoof care professionals have to do is start properly learning about proper balance, and it's quite fairly easy to do. It can be tricky. You've got to be taught it properly. But if you start learning about it, we could fix all of this. And everybody else that's out there making money out of drugs or special products to reduce horses' feed or hay or supplements or hay analysis, they'd be all like going, don't you go say stuff like that? Because that affects my business. And that was exactly what was said to Bethan by that person who led the charge, led one of the charges to discredit her online and to get all her sponsorship taken away. That person and a few others basically said, or that particular person basically said, this affects my business, affects my products. She said that to her privately on message, and it does. And I'm sorry about that. And actual fact, I don't hate any of these people. They're all entrepreneurs. They've all decided, tried to do something good for the world. They've tried to help horses and stop them being overweight. And they've tried in their own way to make a dent in this awful, awful thing that's laminitis, right? That's what we're doing. But
Welcome to the club.
We haven't got a product to sell, other than obviously our courses where we're teaching owners. But our product is balance, the horse's foot, getting it balanced properly. So we're doing the same job. It's just we're not doing it from a diet perspective anymore. I mean, well, we are. We know that diet. Oh, it's so difficult because we don't want fat horses. We don't want fat horses. And that's not right. It's not healthy. But we've got fat humans, fat cows, fat cats. Well, not so much fat cows as much. Fat cats, fat dogs, fat pets. They're everywhere. They are. And it's awful. And that's just a product of domestic living for humans right through the animal kingdom. But we have got to stop pushing this fear of God through owners because P3 is about to rotate, sink, and penetrate through the capsule. It's nonsense.
Look at the hoof capsule.
Nonsense. And if you want to prove us wrong, then you do the same study that we're doing. I tell you what, don't try and prove us wrong. Try and prove Pollitt's SADP theory. You go out there and you realign P3 and then watch it rotate again because the laminar attachment mechanism has failed. We don't do this on horses that necessarily can go on a completely grass-free diet. They can't. We do this on horses that can't necessarily do that. We do this on horses who have already been on a grass-free diet and only on hay for sometimes years, with owners pulling their hair out because they've been restricting their horses. I spoke to a lady only the other day, poor lady, who's got this lovely horse, which is 7 years old. And for the last 2 years of this horse's life, she has kept it away from its buddies, restricted in a pen, on hay, nowhere near a blade of grass. And this horse never got better. It was constantly sore, crippled, waves of it, because of course the hoof care goes in waves and the balance goes in waves. Nothing's ever kept standardized. Nothing ever's kept the same because people can't do that. It's personal preference trimming. It's subjective. They turn up and they look at the foot and they think, they don't measure it. They don't decide on anything. They don't look at the architecture of the foot and think that's where you actually should be trimming to. They've given up on all of that. They hack toes off and they leave the heels. It was sad. And we are rebalancing that horse's feet now for the first time herself. And she's not a young lady. She's a young, she's in her late 50s, early 60s, I think. And she feels horrifically guilty because she restricted that horse from everything because she was terrified it was going to die and terrified P3 was going to come through the capsule and it was going to founder. That's the reality of what this has done. And then all those horses that live like that, who never make it out of that pen because they've got awful osteonecrosis and we can't save them. And they've lived the last, sometimes 10 years of their life, if not more in some instances, cooped up away from other horses because people have been terrified of letting them out on grass and letting them have a life. I always believed that, I always knew that rotation was nothing to do. His SADP theory didn't stand up. It was nothing to do with failing laminae because of diet. It was nothing to do with that. The last piece of our puzzle was when we have a balanced hoof capsule and we see separation in that hoof capsule, is it diet or have we not got the balance right? And we've proved.
Balance rules.
It's the balance.
Balance rules every single time. Every single time.
Every time. Let's have a look at what a few people have been saying. Jeanette Turner. Hello, everyone. First time here live with you and under the wing of Becky Harding. Amazing. Your message got cut off. Dee says, hi, everybody from snowy Vermont. It's been a while. It's been a while. It's good to see you. It's good to see you back. Spill the tea, pros, cons of OTTB hoof transition from shod to natural, top pros, process pros, personal owner experience. It varies really on how knackered the feet are, to be honest, and that's the truth. It varies on how much the feet have been manipulated, how, if P3 is damaged, if that horse has been shod since it was very, very young and it's got some caudal hoof failure because of the shoeing. It all varies, really. It just depends on the horse. But the biggest thing of all when it comes to healing horses is a calm, stress-free environment. Give them lots of fiber to keep their gut, stop the because a lot of these thoroughbreds will have ulcers and because of the way that they've been fed and kept. So lots of long fiber, keep the fiber going, never ever let it run out, and keep the feet balanced, and if necessary put them in boots and pads if necessary. But it just depends on the horse, so we'd have to see the feet. Ingrid's here. Hello from Virginia. Hello, Ingrid. Ramirez Angel. Hello from Switzerland. From Lisa. Been a long time since I caught you live. My thoughts are always with you all in GTL.
This is Lisa that we met in Germany.
Hello, my darling. It's lovely to see you. Jeanette says, hello. Oh, yes, that's right. Under the amazing wing of Becky Harding, and I'm over the moon with my ponies now here in Suffolk.
Excellent job.
Shout it out loud. Bonnie's here. Hello, Bonnie.
Hi, Bonnie.
Right. Michelle Seitz is here. Hi. Piers here didn't have enough cohorns to face what you are facing now. Cohorns? Don't know the guy, so just thought. I don't know what that means. Big Pharma again then. Well, yeah. It's just the money go round, isn't it? Everything makes... And you know something? I tell you something else. They've been doing this research and there's no significant data anywhere that says that these drugs they're using, that bit also got sidelined. Let's do a test to have a look if erticafflozin stops P3 rotation.
Where is it then?
Where is it? Because if they did it, they'd be like, oh, do you know what I found? I found a piece of research and I put this in our group and I'm going to put it up on my page in 2025. Oh, when was that? That was this year.
Ooh.
And it was an etiological piece of research where they were looking at the horse. They were looking at a horse over 90 days. And they were looking to see if cortisol stress levels came down, and so therefore insulin levels came down. Like we say, that reverse pathway. People always think the pathway is something happens inside the metabolism due to the horse being overweight, etc. That causes cascade, that causes laminitis to fail. All that happens. We know that doesn't happen. But we do know, because we have found out, that there is a reverse pathway that basically, well, that's what I call it, which is chronic pain that horse is feeling in its feet chronically over years drives cortisol levels up, and that and stress levels, which drive cortisol levels, which drives insulin levels. And this paper that came out in 2025 by some researchers in Morocco have taken 20 horses, which is quite a nice cohort size, and they didn't harm these. Oh, thank the Lord. Equine research where we're not harming horses.
Something ethical.
Yeah. So they took these horses and they put them near each other and they studied them. They did take blood tests, obviously. So they did do that on a daily basis because they wanted to see what happened over that 90 days. They also tested things like how the animal reacted to humans, if they wanted any kind of human contact. They looked at pain, because there's pain, visual pain responses, flaring of the nostrils, that kind of thing, ears. They looked at those sorts of markers as well. They looked at the whole thing. And what they found, and then they took these horses, some which had clear rotation, and they took these horses and unfortunately they don't. Again, they just tell you their results. They don't really, they sort of go into the method, but they don't give you enough information. They certainly don't show you any Hoof photos or x-rays, but they said that they not shod, they trimmed these horses under laminitis protocol, so lowering the heels. They actually mentioned that, lowering the heels. They didn't say anything else. And then they weren't on a particularly, for a rotated P3s, we like to put them on a tighter trimming cycle. However, and for 90 days, they monitored these horses. They kept them on a standard diet, which was mostly fiber-based, but they monitored these horses. No drugs were involved. No metabolic drugs were involved at all. And at the end of 90 days, they said, we have seen significant drops in cortisol levels and significant drops in insulin levels. This mimics what goes on in the human medical world. They know stress drives cortisol, which drives insulin. They know that. And so these researchers are calling, because they were looking at EMS, they were looking at this horse has got EMS and therefore it's got laminitis sort of thing. And they were calling for better ways of keeping horses so that they are not so stressed. Now, wouldn't it have been lovely if we could have worked with them, because we could have said, right, what we're going to do is we're going to get P3 in a better position really, really quick, because we can do that now. And that would have been great. But the point is, they've actually now studied it, and it's 2025. And I'll put the link up on the public page and in the group at some point, and you can all go and have a read. It's not actually that much of a difficult read. It's just, we've got to stop doing this. It's just mental. Marshall says, hello from Wyoming, USA. Thank you all for the wonderful information that is changing horses' life. Feeling hopeful. And so is Pistol's owner. Thank you again, Marshall. Great. That's great. Loving that.
Well, that's another case, isn't it? We've got Pistol's owner, that this little pony had very upright feet. So very upright feet. And this horse has been kept in a stall pretty much with a very small amount of outside space for over 2 years. And then the lovely Marshall has been following us. She went out to help this pony because she's an all-round good egg. The owner is on board, and 3 weeks later, this I think it was the partner of the owner went outside and got quite a shock because all of a sudden this pony was right behind him, and then all of a sudden turned around, bucked and farted, and trotted off down the field. Do those feet look like bozo feet? Do those feet look like they're not supposed to be attached to that foot? Yes, but guess what? That's the distortion that was there for 2 years. It's almost criminal, isn't it, when you have that realization?
Oh my God, Gary, and they're all losing their heads and having a go at us and calling us dangerous. We had this lovely man called Dan on our Florida workshop, and he's a bodybuilder, and he was huge, really tall and really big. And so, you know, a man, and he was in tears because he was chatting to Asha on day one. He was there because they'd sacked the farrier, they'd sacked the vet, they were doing it themselves. They were starting to see amazing results. But they had this pony, and it would lie down a lot in its pen, in its soft bed, and it hadn't been out of its stable. They'd had the stable door shut for so long, and they genuinely thought they were going to lose this pony. So Asha just went, open the stable door, Dan. Just let the pony out. After, you know, and he was learning what we were telling him. And he came to me, and he gave me a massive hug. And it was lunchtime the next day, I think. And he said, I phoned my wife last night, and I said to her, open the door, just open the door, and let's see what happens. And he hugged me, and he was crying. This big man, he towered over me. I mean, it was like Desperate Dan. He really was. He was massive, and he was crying, and he said, I want to thank you. And it was lovely in his lovely accent. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Sorry, everybody who's American. I want to thank you because my pony has stood up. She stood up in the first time in I can't tell you how long. She's standing up. We are giving her a life back. She wants to come out. She's got something back. And we've got to stop doing it. You've got to stop seeing us as the villain, because we're not going away, folks. You can try as hard as you like, but there are far too many people out there now, backyard owners, that are healing their animals and bringing them back from founder, from laminitis, realizing that what they've been sold was a lie. Was it on purpose? I don't think the hoof care professionals are doing it on purpose. I just think they just don't know. They just don't know. Are the vets doing it on purpose? No, I don't think they are. They just don't know. Did the science research do its due diligence? No, definitely not. Bad. So bad. So who provided the funding back in 2005? Anything to do with the pharmaceuticals? Well, think about that. It wasn't just the pharmaceuticals either. It was the Jockey Club of Australia was providing quite a lot of funding, and a company who were called, I will go back and I will look, but they're called something like Black Knight. Oh, it's something I can't, it's on the tip of my tongue. And you go and research that company. Very mysterious. Can't find anything out about them. It's mysterious stuff. I could be a science journalist. I think I would quite like that. You know, I really, I think I really would. I love looking into this sort of stuff. I love looking
You've
at
already got a job. Sod off.
I do like it though. Marshall, I love seeing and following Pistol's recovery. Good job. Janine Phipps is here. Hi, Janine. I've literally just got back from a trip to southern Spain and the horse's hooves were shocking, front and back. But the donkey's feet were beyond shocking. That's my holiday photos. And isn't it sad? It's got to stop. Joe Kirk made it. Yeah, hello. Pierce says one more thing about Red. She has got bone loss in both fronts. Just a reminder, yet she runs today after 5 years on and off lame, now staying sound, even that we are not done with the rehab. Come on. Yep, she's in the middle of the rehab. Chloe's here. Hello, darling. We'll catch up.
Hiya.
Sorry, gutted. I'm an hour late. Ulrich says, people eat rubbish all the time whose nail beds are inflamed because of their diet. I mean, look at me. I am 2 stone overweight. Doesn't hurt. And it's the same thing. It's the same MMP matrix. And it's in the same, they're laminitis. There's not a lot done about the nail bed. Again, nerdy Lindsay has looked into it. Nerdy Lindsay has looked at research nail beds. There's not a lot of it out there. But they are, it's like lamini. Boop, that's how it holds. Because how does it stay attached but keep growing? I'll leave you with that thought. Those of you who've been on workshops, you know the answer to that. Jeanette says, my older boy had high underrun heels, folded bars, and repeatedly abscessed since I've been trimming TPW. All that's cleared up. Fantastic. They have ad-lib hay, but are also grazing a short, sweet autumn grass at the moment. I decided to trust Lindsay and let them know footings, feet, still good. You'll get me into trouble. You'll get me into trouble saying that out publicly because they think that I'm the moron that's telling everybody to put the horses back on grass. I'm not telling you to do that. But I'm also not telling you to restrict your horse for 2 years in a pen so it doesn't have any life. I'm telling you to get the feet right. Don't let your horse get fat, of course, but get the damn feet right. Well done, Jeanette. Ramirez says, it's so horrible how these horses have had to spend their life. It is. It's awful. Sarah's here. Couldn't be prouder to be part of this revolution. 2 years ago, I was just surviving life. Now I'm living it. My life and Mark will have meant something now. My life and Mark will have meant something now, standing tall beside HM. Come on. Beautiful. Love it. Isn't it inspiring? Inspires me. I get like, ooh, I get all excited about it. Still awake, says Stella. Brilliant live.
Hi,
Stella. Oh, no, make the balloons come up. Jeanette says, sorry, keep it in send by mistake. It's because it's like a return, isn't it? Sue Mitchell says, hi, everyone. Hi, Susan. Hiya. Carly Harris is here. Remember to hit the like button and the notification bell. Thank you, everybody. Please hit the light bulb. Thank you so much. Light bulb? I don't know what I'm talking about. Joe says, just retrim pony. I sent photos to you and she is almost sound. Come on. Oh, my God. Honestly. I tell you what, Joe's a natural. She's got a natural eye. And she can pick up a really distorted foot and she reminds me of myself, but way back in the day, picking up those feet and just going for it. And wow, she gets some great results. Absolutely fabulous. So many loud moments. Thank you, says Megan. You're welcome. Jeanette says, yes, it works like that in people too. 100% same as in humans. So mimic the same in horses too. Yes, that is my Sally story and the guilt is awful. I miss her so much. I'm so sorry, darling. And I'm so sorry. And I feel it for every single one of you. I do. And if those people that call us all those names really could see what's going on in the background and only today, all week, every single day this week, I've been on consultations. So have you. And we've also been doing student trim tutorials, interviews for HMB pros. It doesn't stop. And we're trying to do everything else at the same time. Nobody realizes what we're doing here. Well, you lot do, of course. But those people out there that want to close the door on it, Science doesn't stop, folks. It doesn't. You can't stop it. People are going to test these studies to see if they are true, and we are testing them, and they're not true. Funny how grass sugar studies didn't involve a grass diet. Grass is given a bad rep with very little evidence. Well, that's right. They don't include grass. They just put loads of oligofructose in it. Missed you, says Lindsay Dinsdale. We'll catch up later. Keep up the good work. Change is coming. Thank you so much. Stella says, love it. Bucked and farted. Run, pistol, run. Gary's doing that. Sorry, have to run. We'll watch the rest later. Thank you very much for everything you do. Yes, Pistol. I love it so much. Changing the world, says Jacqueline. Fantastic. Open the door. Open your mind, says Stella. Megan says, just open the door. I just got goosebumps from that story. Yeah. And then those backyard owners are turning pros. They bloody well are. It's amazing. New motto, just open the door. Ooh.
Yeah, just open the door.
Then of a bit of a week. It nearly came to me.
I come up with another one. The truth is in the hoof.
We do say that sometimes, don't we?
The truth is in the hoof.
We do. Just open the door. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for all you do. Every loss I see on here tears me up. It is awful. Anne says, a human drug's no longer deemed safe, effective, get recycled to animal market. And that ain't that the truth.
That's happened so many times.
Pergolide, Butte, to name two. Joe, we feel so deeply. We really do. It means so much. Knuckles says, we know what you are doing. Awesome. Thank you so much. Chloe says, I actually trained as a beautician. We learned all about the matrix in our nails. Did you? Did you? Interesting. We got to end this now because we've been on for an hour and a quarter. But I think that when you see people on Facebook that are determined to, and people come and find us because of this. Andy at Florida said, the reason I found you is because there were so many people having a go at you. He said, there's got to be something in this. I'm going to go and have a look. And he went and had a look, and he said, it was just so sensible what you were saying. And so I tried it and it worked. And here I am. So stop sitting up there in your ivory tower of science gone by, because it wasn't rigorous enough. It didn't suit what was actually happening at the time. And it is too difficult. It is difficult to face the real truth, which is this is human error. And that is a whole horrible can of worms to open. But I tell you what, the can's open. It's open. It's
not
now.
Going away.
Nope.
It's not going away.
The can.
And I think probably for the people that are the detractors, because, and I have to say, most of these detractors, and this is going to sound really horrible because they're the same nationality as us. It's in the UK. The majority of them are in the UK. A lot of them are in the UK. So,
yeah, that's bad.
So
British.
It's that sets it home as well. But because there has potentially been history in the past, shall we say?
Yeah.
They cannot see what is going on in the Phoenix Way Path to Hoof Health on a daily basis, usually multiple times a day, on all of the success stories. And because if they've been nasty in the past, they're not welcome and they've been blocked because, yeah, that's the right thing to do for the community.
It is the right thing to do.
It is the right to do.
It is the right thing. For me,
it is the right thing to do. Of course. I don't want it either.
I can't. that what happened 10 days ago or so, that horror, that really was a witch hunt that started and really kicked off and really got legs and went for it. That's caused lasting damage, and I am damaged by that, and I won't lie, reading stuff about yourself by people who don't know you is shocking and awful, and it makes you doubt yourself. And I have struggled with it, and like we said on the last live, I almost didn't want to get back on and start doing the lives again because it hurts. And but to everybody around me, to Gary, to Tim, to my girls, to Rachel, to my family, to my extended Phoenix family, to my amazing students and pros, I just want, and to Bethan, I just want to thank you all for supporting me, because I really struggled this last 10 days or so. I had a fantastic time in Florida, but the horrible stuff that was going, largely, like you said, Gary, led by people in Britain and the UK, was so bad that it's taught me. I never wanted to go and look before, but sometimes you do go and look at these things, don't you? And they lied, and they said that Tim's profile was mine, and they called him Timsy, and it was so awful. And poor Tim, I felt so sorry for poor Tim. And then they thought I had some profile called Peter. Do you actually think I've got enough time in the day to be going around? Those people that said those things, all I can think of is that's what you do all day.
I ain't got time to fart.
No. So it is damaging. Will I stop? I thought I was going to. I have to tell you, I really didn't want to carry on. But and I don't want this to be a pity party because that's ridiculous. But Bethan said to me, "It's not real, Lindsay."
No, it's not.
This is real. What we do here with the horses here at Goresworth is real. What you do with your horse is real. What you do with the people who are fixing their horses is real.
Yes.
That out there isn't real. You go outside.
They just believe it is. They just believe it is. But it doesn't make it so.
No, but you think it is because it gets in your head. It gets in your head. It gets in your head.
And also, as horrendous as it was for you personally and for Bethan personally, what has come out of it is so much more clarity, which I think is awesome. The confusion, the Laminitis confusion zone has been blown out of the water, and that needed to happen to regain focus and correct diagnosis.
Yeah, it's made people sit up and listen.
It's got to. So we've said in the past, a lot of things have come our way and lots of difficult things have happened for a reason. No one should have to put up with the personal shit. Definitely not. That is just out. That is just sod off. But the professional bit, the information bit, all of that is going to push us further forward and help horses, help owners, and that bit I'm very grateful for.
So am I. So am I. And
clarity has got to come forward. Correct diagnosis has got to come forward.
It really, really, really has.
It has. It's got to.
Pia, I can't. I'm just trying to find Pia.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, it's just to see red running around the field.
I can't see it. I can't find it, Pia.
Shall I see if I can find it?
Oh, I found it.
Oh, you have? Oh, good. Because it would have probably taken me a whole lot longer.
This is what we're going to end on today. We've been, oh God, I've lost you. Where the hell is StreamYard gone? Oh my God. Oh, it's over here. This is what we're ending on today. Share screen.
And just the video will probably be a bit juddery, but you'll see how sound she is. And all I'd like to do for those naysayers out there, this horse is running around on stretch that is about an inch or so long in front of where the end of the sole ends.
She looks happy, doesn't she?
We're still in the middle of the hoof capsule distortion growing out. We're probably just over halfway. But that distortion does not affect her at all, because those feet are amazingly balanced.
And what did we want? This is all we wanted. This is all Pia prayed for. This is all Pia wanted. She wanted her girls, her mum, her two horses, mum and daughter, to be right again. That's all she prayed for. Let's just play that again. There we go. That's all she prayed for. And this horse was crippled. And yes, you can see she's running around on grass. And again, don't get me wrong. We're not telling you all to go and do things like that, but what we are saying is that is not the crux of the problem. It is human error, and we've all got to face it. That can of worms is open. Look at her go. I'm sorry it's all a bit blurry, but I think you can see the essence of that. Flipping awesome. And on that final note,
we shall go.
We shall go.
See you Thursday.
Thank you all for supporting us. See you in 2 days. Thursday. Ta-ra. Ta-ra, Chucks. We love you all. Bye-bye.
Be good.